All right, so we are having a look at the start of my kaleidoscope scarf. This is my log cabin scarf. I've set it up on the Ashford 4-shaft Brooklyn loom, but this will look the same pretty much if you were working on a rigid head loom. This is all plain weave, and it's just a matter of how we've threaded this pattern for this color and weave. So I'm showing you what I did at the very start of this log cabin scarf. You can see that I have taken all of my warp ends and I have tied them on. If you like, you can also lash them on. In this case, I just tied them on. It's sort of my default. It's my go-to. It's kind of just my habit of how I do things. You can also see that I started off with a little bit of scrap yarn and just sort of evening out all of my warp threads here, and just checking my threading, making sure that everything is correct and everything. Also, one of the things that I've started doing with almost all of my warps is when I do these first few weft picks to sort of separate out my warp ends, I will also take a strand and wrap it around the outside of the front bar. So you can see the diagonal here. It's kind of looping out and then back in to my test section here, and then again looping out to that corner and then back. And what this does is it helps to sort of pull the sides of my warp out so that they're not kind of rolling or curling under or anything like that. I've started to do this on all of my warps, and I feel like it really helps set up those initial picks to get started. And so after that, then I just weave a couple of picks to get that all started, and then I left a little bit of a gap here, okay, so that I have some room to do some hem stitching. You may or may not want to do hem stitching, but I decided to do my hem stitching. So you can see here, this is my first color. This is going to be my border color. And you can see that this border is the one that is showing up as outlining all of my little colored blocks here. So the glow color, this colorway is called glow, and this lighter color is my border color. If you're using a darker border color, your scarf will look very, very different from mine. And then for the darker color here, this is my pattern color. And so you can see all of my party of 5, these contrasting colors. This is my pattern color here. So the way that I started this is that I lifted shafts 1 and 3, okay, and then I inserted my shuttle from right to left using this lighter border color, and I went across and then changed to shafts 2 and 4 and then wove back. So you can see I have 2 picks of this border color, one going that way, one going this way. And then I started with my pattern color. And again, starting with my pattern color with the shuttle on the right-hand side, going this way, okay? And then this is basically how I set up all of my shuttles so that I could alternate shuttles and have the weft yarn interlock at the side. All right, so when I am juggling 2 shuttles, my goal is to take the shuttle that I've just used and put it closest to my body. So the next shed that I have to weave is this one, and I'm going to use this shuttle. And basically, as soon as I'm done weaving this shuttle, I put it in front of me. Change sheds, and then the shuttle that's closest to the loom is the one that is basically up next to weave with. So I'm going to tuck that through. And again, putting that one in front of me, and then this one becomes free to use. So you can see I just finished weaving with my pattern color, and now I need to weave with my border color. And I want these 2 weft threads to interlock so that way I'm not sort of losing the edge thread and making sure that I capture all of the warp ends into my weaving. So I'm going to change sheds now. Okay, so the next shuttle to go in is the glow or the lighter color. And you can see this is what it should look like as your weft thread is going in. It should look like they interlock so that all of the warp threads are being captured into the weaving. If instead your weaving looks like this, you see what is happening? I've basically lost this selvage thread, okay? So that's why I need to make sure that when I put my yarn through, these two weft threads are sort of twisting around each other or interlocking before the shuttle goes into the shed. If your weft threads do not interlock, then you're going to lose your selvage thread, okay? So that's why you have to make sure that it looks like the yarns are twisting around each other before they go into the shed. And that is what we should see, and no selvage thread is being lost. All right, so the next thing that we have to deal with is the fact that I have just now woven 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of my pattern picks. And so now I need to change colors. So one of the things that you can see is that I have a couple of different ways that I've been experimenting with changing colors. But ultimately what I want to do is I want to minimize the appearance of those color changes at the sides. So I'm trying to keep all of my color changes within this last little block so that they're not coming out into the rest of the fabric. The other thing is that within these 5 pattern picks of this color, I want to keep this color with its block. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut it off here, and then I'm going to make sure that it goes into the same shed. All right, so I'm going to tuck this end into the same shed. And so I need to tuck it around the selvage thread. Okay, so there's my selvage. I'm going to tuck it around the selvage, and then I'm going to tuck it into the same shed. All right, like so. Now, you can see that this is actually very, very thick, and it's all doubled up and stuff like that inside. And so it's going to look like a doubled up weft thread. It's going to just look like way more color than needs to be. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this yarn, this little tail, and I'm going to split the plies. Okay, so I tucked it around the selvage thread. It is going into the same shed. I'm going to have these come out a little bit. And what I want to do is I'm going to have some of the plies, I'm going to have 2 of the plies sort of finish here. I'm going to pull that forward. And then I'm going to have the last 1 ply, because it's a 3-ply yarn, I'm going to have the last ply come out here. And so I'm basically trying to thin out that yarn so that it doesn't look so obvious. It doesn't look so doubled up. So in this section here, it's basically the 3 plies of the main yarn and then 1 ply of the tail. And in here, I just have 3 plies of the main yarn and 2 plies of the tail, and just kind of trying to feather it out almost. Now I can change sheds and weave my border color. Okay, and so now I need to enter in my next color. So because I finished my last pattern color on this side, I'm going to enter my new pattern color on this side as well. Because you're doing 5 pattern picks, it's an odd number. So really, if you start on this side, you're going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're going to end on the left side. So then when you change to the next color block after that, you're going to start your color on this side, which is why we have color changes happening on both sides of the scarf. All right, so I'm going to enter my new pattern yarn on this side. And now I just need to deal with the little tail end. So again, I'm going to split that tail, and then I'm going to fold it around this outside selvage thread. Okay, and then I'm going to take the section with the 2 plies, have that come out sooner. Okay, so I have my 2 plies are coming out here, and my 1 ply is coming out here. All right, and so that is my little join, hoping to sort of feather that yarn in and have it look a little bit less obvious. Okay, so now change sets. So remember, we put this one right in front of us. Put this one in front of us, and then we weave with this one. Checking your side. And that is my 5th one. So that's our log cabin scarf so far. Love to see what you guys are working on. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us in the Discord channel.